of last year, the day after Labor Day, the temperature was 86 degrees in Washington, D.C., so that was a long time ago. So on that day, President Trump and his henchmen announced that they were killing the DACA program. The next day, meeting with my Democratic colleagues, I said I would not support any spending or budget bills that didn't include a DREAM Act or some other serious attempt to put dreamers with DACA in a safe place. That was 6 months ago, and we're right back where we started. The Republicans have a bill to cut legal immigration and abandon the dreamers in some semi-legal limbo. And the chairman of the Judiciary Committee had a press conference about it yesterday and is touting his bill as the last chance to get something done about DACA. No, this will not resolve DACA. We will not support it in exchange for it. What the chairman did not mention is that his bill is actually about something else. It is about changing the racial makeup of America's immigrants so that more of them are white and fewer of them are from countries like countries in Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and Latin America. Analysis by the Center for Global Development of Goodlatte's proposal states the following: Hispanic and black immigrants would be roughly twice as likely to be barred by the immigration cuts as white immigrants. The legal immigration cuts would bar the majority of Muslim and Catholic immigrants from coming legally to the United States of America. While the president keeps saying that he wants a better class of immigrants coming to America, the cuts would actually substantially reduce the number of university graduate immigrants. The Goodlatte bill would expand some work visas, but we would only add one university graduate for every 7 workers removed by eliminating the family visas and diversity visas. Now tell me, how does cutting out hardworking immigrants and guaranteeing that the only available avenue to come and work in America is an illegal one, how does that protect dreamers? It doesn't. And we are once again chasing bad policies down a rabbit hole because the real agenda on the other side of the aisle is to leverage the national concern over the plight of dreamers into a radical reordering of legal immigration to make it whiter. Sorry, that is not the agenda of my party and frankly not the agenda of my fellow Americans. So with more than 80 of my colleagues, we will release a letter today at a press conference we wrote to the leaders of both parties in the House and the House Appropriators. It echoes what I started saying 6 months ago. We need a budget or spending measure that includes the DREAM Act, a clean DREAM Act, and that's it. This week or next week, we all know we need to pass a budget to keep the government open. And Democrats are clear. Our country, our Congress, and our leaders need to figure out how dreamers get to live in the country they grew up in, the country they love, the country that has invested so much in them and receives so much from them. Don't be lulled into a false sense of security. The federal courts didn't settle this or give us a permanent solution. They just gave a lot of lawmakers a convenient excuse for inaction. And I'm not buying it, and neither should you. Because also in the spending bill, there are likely to be billions of dollars for deportation, detention, breaking up families, and breaking down doors in neighborhoods across the country. That is why our letter says we do not only want a clean DREAM Act included in the omnibus, but we want to reduce funding appropriated to DHS's detention and deportation machine, specifically funding for detention beds, deportation agents operating under ICE or CBP, and an end to border militarization. And we oppose any funding that expands the construction of walls or fencing at the southern border. We should instead allocate border security resources to modernize the infrastructure and technology at our ports of entry, which would actually benefit our country and our economy. So, Mr. Speaker, 6 months after Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions instigated this crisis by proclaiming their desire to deport dreamers and kicking their safety and security in our nation to this do-nothing Congress, we now have what could be the last opportunity to actually take permanent legislative action. Do not be distracted by the president's nativist agenda or the bills in Congress that seek to implement his nationalist view. Do not give up on taking action that is serious and will actually protect dreamers and the communities that they live in. And do not allow the deportation and family destruction machine to thrive and grow on our watch. We must take a stand right here, right now, and stand up for what is right and what is beneficial for our nation. I am proud to stand with the majority of Americans and 83 colleagues who have joined me on this letter. The time is now. Mr. Speaker, I ask consent that the letter from 83 members to House leadership and appropriators be inserted into the record.
Without objection, the gentleman's time has expired. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Thompson, for 5 minutes.